Mo of Ezeebeady. Right, the good news. This morning when I got up, I found out I had over 1,000 subscribers. I can't tell you how pleased I am. Never mind shocked. I never thought I'd get to 1,000. Gianna, you're my inspiration, and I have to thank you for persuading me that I could do this. It's so much fun, and I do enjoy doing it, and I enjoy all the kind remarks and all the kind people, and I enjoy teaching people how to do what I do, what I love to do. It's been about 1.5 years now since I started beading. I never thought I'd be able to do half of the things that I can do. I just want to, you know, pay it forward basically, and it's just wonderful. I encourage anybody else that seems to think they can't do it. Yes, they can. Just try. You don't know where it's going to lead yourself to. So there we go. So thank you again for all your kind messages, all your kind words, and all your subscribers and likes. It's wonderful. So this is the very first tutorial I have made. A friend of mine asked me if I would make her a necklace to go with the dress she had. She wanted turquoise, but she couldn't afford to pay for the crystals, so I decided, well, what she described she wanted just reminded me of this. She wanted, you know, some circles put together, so I showed her this and she says yes, that will be fine, but she, like I say, she didn't want the crystals, so I thought, well, I'll do it in rounds because they are, you know, a lot cheaper. So this is what I came up with. I had to change it ever so slightly because it cups up a lot more when you do it in the original design. She's very pleased with it, and she said it's what she wanted, so I'm happy if she's happy. I actually think it's really nice, and strangely enough it works two-sided as well, so really you have two necklaces. I do feel like I'm cheating a bit doing a same tutorial, but it is slightly different, and my original one was pictures, so I have noticed that people do prefer videos, and I do enjoy doing the videos. I like to be able to describe what I'm doing better, and if there's any problems you can see how to get out of them, I suppose. So let's get going. For the main body of the pendant, I'm using 6mm round beads. These are in turquoise. 4mm round beads, and these are also turquoise. 8/0 seed beads. I've got these in two different colours. I've got white here, and these ones are matte crystal AB. These would be 3mm bicones if you were doing it with the bicone pattern, and these also would be 6mm bicones and 4mm bicones. I've got 11/0 seed beads. These are duracoat gold by myuki, and you need Superduos. You just need 20 Superduos. I'm not going to give you the exact amount for the other beads because of the necklace bits, the chain, because you'll need to decide what you need for the length of the necklace you're doing. I'm also using a clasp, a split ring or a jump ring, and 2 wire guards or wire thread protectors. I don't know, whatever you want to call them, whatever they're called, wherever you get them from. I've got a needle. I think it's a size 10 or 12, it doesn't matter. The smaller one would be better. The thread I am using is Beading Wildfire in 0.006, and it's crystal. You need a pair of scissors, and a pair of pliers is handy as well for the tight spots, because when you're doing the bigger component you do get some tight spots. Right, if you want to attach the same chain as I have, it's easier just to use 2 arm spans of thread. Then that way you're not cutting off, and you can attach your chain bit straight onto the component without cutting it off. So thread 2 arm spans of thread onto your needle, and let's zoom you in now. Take 6 4mm and 6 of your Superduos and alternate these. Doesn't matter which one you start with. Right, so this is what I've got. Take these down to the end of your thread. Leave a tail long enough to thread onto your needle again, just to sew it away. And tie the 3 good knots. Don't pull this too tight, otherwise you're going to have difficulty getting in and out of these beads at the moment. Right, so I've put 3 knots in there. Pull your knot tight and just make sure that's not too tight there. It'll tighten itself up if it's over slack, but I've just got a little bit of movement in there, so that's absolutely fine. Put a needle on your, put a thread on your, a needle on your thread on your tail, and I'm going to go into the round and just take my knot into the round and away from, take my tail away from the knot. If I can manage to get in there. So I've just gone through the 4mm, the Superduo 4mm, I'm coming out of the Superduo. Take your thread off and just pull your knot into the round. Take your other needle and I'm going to go right round these once more. Just make sure I go past my knot, which is in there, I can feel it. Now we need to come out with a Superduo. So we're coming out of the bottom hole of that Superduo there. Pick up 2 of your 11/0 seed beads and go into the top hole of the same Superduo that you're coming out of, and pick up 3 of your 8/0 seed beads, the first colour. We'll call this colour number 1, and I'm coming out this side, so I'm going to go around and back through the same hole. Pick up 2 11/0 seed beads and go into the bottom hole of the same Superduo. Just make sure they sit nice. And now I'm just going to go around all these to connect this up. See, that's loose. To connect this up. Now on my first tutorial I added all of these first and then went round these individually. If you prefer to do it that way, then that's fine, but I've since decided, I thought, you know, do it now, then I know it's done. So I'm just turning it over and I'm going up the 2 11s and an 8 I'm going to go around the top and then back down the 8 and through the 2 11s. You notice I haven't cut my tail off yet. I'm going to go right round so that when I'm working through these I'm not risking pulling my tail out. Now back into the same Superduo. Give that a pull and I'll tighten that up for you. And you can see they're all connected now and it's tightened up. Go through the 4mm and out to the next Superduo. Give that a pull again just to tighten it up once more. So now what we're going to do is just repeat the process of this one. So it's 2 11s and into the hole we were coming at, top hole of the Superduo we were coming out of. Pick up 3 of colour 1 of your 8/0, coming out this side. So I'm going to go around. Pick up 2 11s and into the back into the bottom hole of the same Superduo. Like I say, make sure they just sit down and just stops excess thread. And again, now we're just going to go around these beads to connect them and tighten them. So up the 2 11s and 1 8, across the top and back down the other side, so it's through the 8 and down the 2 11s. Back into the Superduo that we're working on, and we're going to make our way to the next Superduo. So if you can, go straight through the 4mm and out of the Superduo. Make sure you don't snag your thread on anything. And just hold on tight and give it a pull to tighten it all up. Okay, so once more, pick up 2 11s and into the top hole. Pick up 3 of colour number 1 of your 8s, and these would be your 3mm if you're doing bicone. I suppose you could mix and match, mix up the rounds with the bicones. Back it back around. 2 11s and into the bottom hole of the Superduo and around your beads. Back into the bottom hole, through the 4mm and hopefully out of the next Superduo. Just watch your thread as it goes down and give that a pull to tighten it up. See, now we're at our tail. If I'd cut my tail off, when I go around this again it might have pulled my tail out, so as it's here I know it's safe. So pick up 2 11s into the top hole of the same Superduo that we're coming out of. 3 of your colour 1 8/0, go around the top and back through the same hole. 2 11s and into the bottom hole. and then around these. So it's up to 11, and your 8 around the top, and back down the other side. And then back into the bottom hole. And my knot's here, so it's a bit tight. So I'm coming out of the next Superduo again. Give that a pull. And if you want now, you can cut your tail off. I'm just going to leave it for now because it's not bothering me. So 2 11s through the top, 3 for your 8s around the top, and 2 11s and into the bottom hole. And around these. I did say my tail won't bother me. Around the top and back down and across to the next one. So it's into the bottom hole, through the 4mm, it's rather tight. So I've just gone through the bottom hole, through the 4mm and the next Superduo. Pick up 2 11s and into the top hole. Pick up 3 8s, go around, and 2 11s and back into the bottom hole. See, it's all tightened up now, so it's getting a bit fiddly. This is harder when you're doing your bigger component. I don't know why, I think it's because you're just putting more thread in there. But persistence and patience always pays off. And then around these to connect them and strengthen them. And then back through your bottom hole. And I'm going to make my way back across to the first Superduo that we embellished if I can. I don't think I'm going to be able to, so what I'm going to do is do it one by one. If you can't make your way back across here, if it's too tight, just go back up here and come out of this top 8/0, and that's where we need to be for the next step. But I am going to persist because I can be stubborn sometimes. In fact, yep, through there and back through the first Superduo. See, it is possible. And I'm going to go back up these two 11s. Sorry, I forgot to give that a pull to tighten that one up. So back up these two 11s. And into the top 11 there. Sorry, into the top 8. And just wait there for the next step. I'm just going to cut my tail off now. Right, for the next step, we're going to go around the outside of these top of the picots. So we need to pick up an 11, an 8 of your second colour, an 11, an 8 of your first colour, an 11, an 8 of your second colour, and an 11. Okay, so this is what I've picked up. And then I'm going to go across and go into the top of the picot of the next section. So we need to repeat this sequence here. So we need an 11, 8 of your second colour, an 11, an 8 of your first colour, an 11, an 8 of your second colour, and an 11. And across through the next picot. An 11, 8 of your second colour, 11, 8 of your first, 11, 8 of your second, and an 11. And across to the top hole of the next picot. An 11, an 8 of your second colour, an 11, 8 of your first, 11, 8 of your second, and an 11. And into the top hole. 11, 8 of your second, 11, 8 of your first, 11, 8 of your second, and an 11, and into the top hole of the next picot. An 11, 8 of colour second, 11, 8 of colour first, an 11, 8 of your second, and an 11. And then into the top hole of the same picot that we started. Now, it doesn't matter if you go through the other beads again, because we're going to go right round these to stiffen it up and give it strength. So all the way around these same beads that we've just added. Being careful not to miss any of your beads. Right, so when you feel you've gone round enough times, we need to be coming out again of one of these picots, the centre bead. Doesn't matter which one. And this is what we have so far. You can see it's curved up. Don't worry about it, because it's going to curve more when we put on the next set. So coming out of this top of the seat bead of the picot, so for this small component we pick up one of your second colour of 8/0, your 6mm, and another of your second colour of your 8/0. We're going to go into the next top hole of the picot, so we're skipping this embellishment they put on here and going into the top 8/0 of this picot in the middle. When you're doing the big components, these 8/0 here that's on the either side of your 6mm will be replaced by 11/0 seed beads. So just remember that. That's the one of the differences. So I won't be showing you how to do the big component, because apart from this section and the apart from them two beads there being 11/0 and the next bit which I'll show you, it's exactly the same thing. So again, we need an 8/0, a 6mm and an 8/0. So we're going across the gap and into the top of the picot there. Okay, so do this all the way around. So it's an 8, a 6mm and an 8, and across into the top of the picot. An 8, a 6mm and an 8. If you're doing this with crystals, with bicones, you may find that an 11/0 on this smaller component is absolutely fine. I just found that it cupped up too much and it enclosed itself, so it just spoiled the look. So I've just made it a bit better by not cupping it up. It's up to you if you want to try it with crystals, put in, you know, your 3mm there or your 11/0. It's up to yourself. I'll show you on the original one. You see this one, let's just zoom you out again. This is the original one I made. That doesn't cup up quite so tight, quite so high. It's fairly flat, and I've used 11/0 at either side of my 6mm. Now, when I tried earlier using 11/0 at either side of the 6mm, you can see it's cupped up quite a lot there, and it just encloses it in the middle. So I decided I'm going to spread it out a bit more by putting 8/0 in there. So again, it's an 8/0, your 6mm and an 8/0. Just zoom you back in. We're skipping the gap and going into the top of the picot. An 8/0, a 6mm and an 8/0, and into the top of the picot that you're originally coming out of. Can be a bit tight here again now, so just be patient. Okay, right, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop a bead in between each of these two. So I'm going to go through the first set that we've just added and come out of the 11, coming out of the 8, just here. And now I'm going to pick up an 11/0 seed bead. Now on your big component we don't do this, we'll just go straight round all these beads again, not adding this last bit, and then you will tie off. But on the smaller component, again, just to stop it cupping up quite so much, I'm just putting these in. So I'm coming out of this 8/0 here. I've picked up an 11/0 seed bead, and I'm going into the next 8/0 through the 6mm and out the other side of the next 8/0, and I'm going to put a seed bead in between each of these. So I'm going to go right round these beads again that I've just gone round. So once you feel you've gone around enough times, you can either go around as many times as your beads will allow, as many times as you're happy with. We need to tie that off. And I'm going to put the knots right before the 6mm because they'll hide better in there. So I'm just going through the 11 and coming out the other 8. I'm going to pop a knot in there. So I'll just catch my thread up there, wrap my thread around, and pull it down, making sure your thread goes in the right direction. So I'm going to go through, sorry, excuse me, the 6mm, the 11, sorry, the 6mm, the 8/0 and the 11, and through the 8 again, and put another knot in there. And just to show you, so you know I can do a half hitch knot properly, put that in there. Put as many knots in as you're happy with. Now, if your thread is still fairly long, bearing in mind what we need to do now, what we need to be doing next is thinking about the chain. Now I'm going to put a beaded chain on this like I did on my original, but you didn't see this as such. I've undone this a bit because I needed bits off it. I did put on a beaded chain, and that's what my customer wants, so that is what I'm going to do. So if your thread is long enough, bearing in mind this is only one side, so it's actually going to just be half of your neck length. If you've got enough thread to go up and down it a couple of times, then don't cut your thread off. We do need to come out of the 8/0, that is on the outside here. You see this way 6mm is, we need to come out of one of these 8/0 here that's right opposite your 6mm. So just work your way down there. So we need to go down there, coming out of this 8/0 here, right in front of this 11 that we put on, and go down and then back along this embellishment around the outside until you're coming out of that 8/0 that we need to be at. It can be a bit tight now, so just as determined it's come out of the back, it doesn't matter. I'll just pull it round and then back round. And just through that 8/0 there, that is, like I say, opposite your 6mm. And then make your other components. So we need 2 of these, and like I said, we need one that is 8 round. I've started off with 8 in the middle, 8 of each, 8 4mm and 8 Superduos. The embellishment around the outside is exactly the same, you know, that's around the outside of these Superduos. Like I said, the only difference being here, at either side of your 6mm, I've put an 11/0 rather than this 8/0 here, and we didn't need to put in this 11/0 on this one. So that's it really, that's the only difference between them. So we need 2 of these and 1 of these, and then come back to me when you've done that and I'll show you how to connect them and how I've put on my chain. Right, so we've got our 3 components made. I've left the thread on each of the components coming out of the 8/0 seed bead that is opposite the 6mm around the outside, and I'm going to show you how to connect them. So we're going to use the middle one. Pick that up, put needle on your thread, what's left over, and we're going to pick up, we've got 111, 8/0 of your second colour, 111, 8/0 of your first colour, an 11, an 8/0 of your second colour and an 11. And we're coming out of this side of the 8/0, so we need to go into the opposite way into an 8/0. We need to be opposite where we're coming out of. The thread is coming out here, so we need to be the opposite side and go down this 8/0 here. Just like that. Pull that up, and now we need this same sequence again. So we need an 11, an 8/0 of your second colour, an 11, an 8/0 of your first colour, an 11, an 8/0 of your second colour and an 11. This is what I've picked up. And we're coming out of this 8/0 here, so we're going to go back into the 8/0 from the opposite side to what we're coming in on your large component. And pull that up. So we've got kind of like a circle of beads there. And I'm going to go around these one more time. So just go through all your beads again. Because it's a connecting component, we do need it fairly strong. Go around it a couple of times if you wish, however many times you're going to feel happy with. I'll just go around one more time. And then we need to come out through the 8/0 we were originally coming out through. So I've gone around these beads a couple of times, 3 times. So now I'm going to put in the centre embellishments. So I'm going to pick up an 11, a 6 and an 11. I'm coming out of this side of this 8, so I'm going to go straight across and go down the 8/0 of the connecting component that we're working with. Give that a pull, pick up an 11 and go back through the 6. Give that a pull, pick up an 11 and go back up through the 8. So now I'm just going to go around these beads again to give it strength again. So you go back up the 11 and through the 6, through the 11 and then back down the 8, through the 11 and through the 6 and through the 11. I'm just going to do it one more time. So back up the 8, through the 11 and through the 6, through the 11, down the 8, through the 11 and the 6 and through the 11 and back up the 8. So that's one connection. So you want to, with the thread that you've got here, you need to make your way across to the other side. Now it's up to you where you want to sit your next component. You can either miss just one and have it there, or miss 2 and have it there. It depends how you want it to lie. So I'll just make my way around. I'm just going to go around the outside of these beads. Maybe a bit tight by now because of all the other thread that's gone through there. Just be careful not to break any of your beads. Might be better to work from the back. So we're just making our way around. I've come out of this one here. I'm just going to leave it and keep going straight through because it's just going to be easier for me. As long as you're following your beaded path, it doesn't really matter which way you make your way there. As long as you get to where you're going. I'm just trying to decide where I want my necklace to lie. I'll do it on this one yet. So I've missed 2. Okay, so I've made my way across to the 8/0 that is opposite this 6mm. So I've skipped 1, 2, and I'm coming here. So again, get your third component, and again we need to be opposite where your thread is coming out of. My thread's here, so I need to be the opposite side, which is this one here, and I'm coming down, so I'm going to go around that way this time. So pick up an 11, an 8/0 of your first colour, an 11, an 8/0 of your second colour, an 11, an 8/0 of your second colour, and an 11. So I've got this again. But we're just connecting it exactly the same way as we did that one, but I'm coming out this way now. And again, make sure I'm opposite. So I'm going to go up there. And again, we need this sequence. So it's an 11, an 8/0 of your first colour, an 11, an 8/0 of your second, an 11, 8/0 of your second colour, and an 11. If I've said that correctly, if not, that's what I've picked up. And we're going to go back down this 8/0 here. So we've made a loop. And again, we're just going to go around these another 2 or 3 times. Back through your 8/0, and then we're going to put the centre embellishment in. So we need an 11, a 6mm, and an 11. We're coming out at the bottom of this 11/0 here, so we're going to go into the bottom of this one. Okay, and then we need an 11, and through your 6, pick up an 11, and then back down your 8/0 and pull that. So now again we just need to go around these to strengthen it up. Right, so I'm just going through the 11 and the 6 again. through the 11. And then back up the 8. So now I'm going to start and work my way around here and tie this off. If you want, you can make your way into these 6s here. Whichever way you want to tie it off, you can tie it off around the edge or around the middle. It's up to yourself. So we're just going to tie it off now. Any way you can hide your knots is good. As my thread's getting so short, I'm just going to start and tie it off right where I am. That's not going to go up there, so I am going to go up this one now, because I'm getting really tight around the edge there, so just make my way back up. Like I say, wherever's best for you to tie your knots. It is easier to tie your knots just before the 6mm because they hide in there a lot better. I'm just work your thread now away from your knot before you cut it off. I want to try and get around this outside edge because I know that's tighter and it'll hold the thread in there a lot better. Less likely for it to come out. In fact, I'm just going to go down there. Like I say, it doesn't really matter where you put your thread when you're tying off. When you're heading off to cut off, I should say. And then cut your thread. So that's your 3 components connected. And this is what we have. Alright, so now we're going to work on putting our chain on. Now, if you haven't managed to get these in the right place, you know, opposite where I said if you've made a mistake, don't worry, all you need to do is just get your thread round to where it needs to be. Now it's up to you where you have it hanging. I'm going for, like I say, it was opposite, so that's where I am, and that's what I'll do. So with the remainder of the thread that's on these, you can do whatever order you fancy. It's up to yourself, whatever size beads you want from what you've got left. But the connection, I like to match it up a little bit to this one. So you pick up, I'm starting with this one here, this side. So the first one you need to pick up is an 11. And then a 4mm, an 11, and a 8/0 and an 11. So I've picked these ones up. Take them down to the end. Pick up a 6mm and now now what we're going to do is we're going to add the rest of the embellishment. Right, so for the rest of, we've got, first of all, we've got an 11, a 4mm, 11, an 8/0, an 11 and a 6mm. And now however you want to do the rest of the pattern is up to yourself. It's entirely your choice what you want to do, but this is the sequence I've chosen. I've got an 11, a second colour 8/0, an 11, a 4mm, 11, second 8/0, 11, 4mm, and I'm just going to keep repeating this pattern until I get right to the length of the necklace that I need. So when you get to the length that you need, bearing in mind it's going to go one at each side, and then you've got the measurement of this as well and your clasp. So when you get to the length you need, come back to me. Right, so I've got to the length I want, I'm happy with, and I'm ending in an 8/0 at the moment, so I'm going to pick up 2 11/0. Get your wire protector, go up one side and then go down the other side. Okay, you need to make sure that you put in whichever side of the necklace you're working on, that you put your clasp on the correct side, because left-handed people like them on the left, but this is for a right-handed person, so I need to put the clasp on the right, and I'm working on the left side, so this one is my split link. So pick up your split link. Sorry, mine is it a split link? Whatever it is, it's one of them that's like a little tiny spring. So put that on. Pick up another 11 and then skip that second 11 there and go back down that 11. And now what we need to do is work our way right down to the other end of the necklace of the chain. Don't pull it over tight because it'll pucker up like that, so have a little bit of give on it, because we want it to be loose and flowy. So work your way right back down. Making sure you don't skip any beads on your way back down. So now we're just about to come back to the 6mm. So I'm going to go through the 6mm and I need to mirror this. So I need to pick up an 11, an 8, a 4mm and a 11. Sorry, 11 and 8 and an 11, your 4mm and an 11. So I've picked up these. And we need to go back up this connection here. Now if originally your thread won't be long enough to do this chain, all you've got to do is tie it off and just attach a new piece. It's quite easy. So I've gone around there. Right, now this bit can be a bit tricky because I'm going to try and make my way around here again. So what I'm going to do is just back up this side. Just want to strengthen this connection up. Straight back down there. I've got plenty of thread, so I know I'm alright with it. And go around again. Now this bit can be fairly tight, so we'll just pull that, so it doesn't matter if this bit is tight. And then back up. If you wish, go around again. If your thread is long enough, which I know mine is, so that's what I'm going to do. So back down that 11 and round these beads again. I'd rather have it secure. Then we're going to work our way back up to the end of the your chain again. So just make sure that isn't too tight. So I've gone around there a couple of times, so I'm happy with that. And then back up to the other end because I need to reinforce my clasp. So all the way back up this time. Sorry, I'm out with you. Like I said, I've gone around these a couple of times now. I've just skipped across there. A third bead there might have been better, but anyway, it's done now. So I'm just going to work my way back down the chain. Again, making sure you're not skipping any. So this is the third time now I'm going up here. So I think that should be enough strength up there. So I'm just going to make my way back up to strengthen the clasp at the end. Just be careful you're not skipping beads because there's nothing worse. It's worth having a quick look just before you pull your thread through. It's a seed bead, so you're going to skip if anything. So just a quick check and then pull it through. And we're nearly back at our clasp. So I've gone through that middle seed bead. I'm going to go up one of the seed beads and up the edge of the clasp, thread protector. Back down the other side, make sure you go through your hoop. Back down the other side of the thread protector and through that one seed bead. Make sure your thread stays inside the groove and then skip that middle seed bead, and we're just going to go around this a couple of times. That'll make sure that's nice and secure as well. So as many times as you're happy with, and I'm happy with that. So now we just need to start and make our way back down the necklace, the chain, making knots as you go. So back into that 11 knot that's in the middle, and I'm going to put my knots just before the 4mm. So I'll come out of the 11/0 just before a 4mm and put a knot in. Again, don't tighten it up too much while you're putting your knots in, because you don't want it to pucker up. So put as many knots in as you want, or as many as your thread will allow. And then just go through a few more beads before you cut your thread off. I'm just going to do one more knot. And go down a few more before I cut off. And that's one side done. So you repeat this process for the other side. Exactly the same and exactly the same length. Except when you obviously, instead of your split ring here, you'd be putting on your clasp. Okay, so there you go, that's the second side done now. Like I say, when you're putting on your second one, just keep measuring it against your first. Make sure that it's the same length. I have to say that this chain is more comfortable than a bicone chain. It's the bicone one just seems to tickle, and this is comfier against the skin, so I think it's just more pleasant to wear. I'd like to say again a big thank you to my first 1,000 subscribers. It's fantastic. I can't tell you how pleased I am with it. So here's to another 1,000 subscribers. I am Monisa of Ezeebeady. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.